I never believed in demons. Even after everything, I still hesitate to use that word, demon. It feels too ancient, too theatrical. But when I close my eyes at night, I still hear the scratching. It started in early October, when the leaves had just begun to curl and the sun dipped a little earlier each evening. I had just moved into an old farmhouse in upstate New York, remote, silent, beautiful in a sort of weathered, forgotten way. It was mine, purchased cheap from an estate auction. The previous owner had died in the house, but that didn't bother me. People die, houses get old. I wasn't superstitious. The first few nights were quiet, peaceful even. I lit fires in the hearth, made myself dinners of roasted vegetables and red wine, and let the silence wrap around me like a blanket. I was a writer. Solitude was fuel. Or so I thought. Then the noises began. At first, it was soft, the sound of something brushing against the walls late at night. I thought it was mice, maybe raccoons nesting in the attic. I even climbed up there with a flashlight one morning, poking around the insulation and boxes. Nothing, but it escalated. By the second week, I was waking up at 3 a.m. every night to the sound of scratching. Not in the walls, but inside them. As if long, brittle fingernails were being dragged across the wooden frame from within. I pressed my ear to the drywall one night, and I swear to you I heard whispering. Not in English, not in any language I knew. I called in an exterminator. He found nothing, said the house was clean, no rodents, no bugs. Suggested I see a doctor if the sounds kept up. I started to record the nights. Playback revealed static, just static. But if I listened close enough under the noise, I could almost make out syllables. And then one night, a name, Elowen. That was the name of the girl who died here. I looked into the property's history. The previous owner had been a recluse, a man named Thomas Griggs. He lived with his daughter Elowen, who died when she was 12. The death certificate said she fell down the stairs. But the coroner's notes, buried deep in public archives, told a different story. Severe contusions, fractures inconsistent with a fall, fingernail marks across her own face. I started dreaming about her. A pale girl in a tattered nightgown, standing at the end of my bed. Her eyes were all wrong, black, glossy, too wide. In the dreams, she never spoke. Just pointed to the corner of my room, where the shadows seemed deeper. I called a local priest, not because I believed, but because fear will make you desperate. Father Mallory was old and sharp-eyed. He smelled like incense and pipe smoke. He didn't laugh when I told him what I'd seen. He listened, asked questions, took notes, then he asked to see the basement. I hadn't been down there. Something about it unsettled me, even in daylight. The door was heavy, the steps steep. The air down there felt thick, damp. Mold clung to the walls in black blossoms. In the far corner was a room, not on the blueprints, bricked off, hollow sounding when you knocked. Father Mallory looked pale. He made the sign of the cross and told me not to touch it. She's in there, he said, or what's left of her. We began the exorcism 3 nights later. I won't recount everything here. It's too long, too awful. But I will tell you this. There are things older than sin, older than God, and they do not fear holy water. The house changed. The walls bled. Furniture moved. Lights exploded. I saw her, night after night, crawling from that bricked-off room, her mouth opening wider than any mouth should. The final night, the priest died. It took me hours to find his body. It was folded, yes, folded, into the shape of a triangle, every bone broken, no blood. I finished it alone. I read from his book, screamed the words until my throat bled. I lit every candle I had, drew the circle with salt and ash. I burned her name into the floorboards. And for a moment, just a moment, I felt peace. The air cleared. The house sighed. But I know it's not over. The room is still there. And every night at 3 a.m., I hear the scratching. The next day, I boarded the basement door shut. hammered it closed with thick planks of oak, nailed crosswise like some old-world ward against evil. I sprinkled holy water over it until the wood was damp, repeating prayers I barely believed. I wanted to pretend it was over, but pretending does nothing. On the fourth night after the priest's death, I found the boards torn off, not pried loose, torn, splintered from the inside out, as if something had pushed through. The basement door stood open. Darkness coiled at the top of the steps. Like fog, I didn't go down. Instead, I left. Drove into town at 2 a.m. and sat in the fluorescent hush of a 24-hour diner, nursing a coffee until sunrise. The waitress gave me a look like she'd seen the inside of my soul and didn't like what was there. I didn't blame her. When I returned, I half expected the house to be gone, swallowed into the earth. But it stood, silent and waiting. Inside, everything was colder. The fireplace wouldn't light. The mirrors fogged over without reason. And the clocks, every clock in the house, had stopped at 3 a.m. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, gripping the rosary Father Mallory left behind, waiting. At exactly 3, the scratching began. But it wasn't from the walls. It was from inside the room, the hollow room, a slow, rhythmic scrape, like nails against stone. Then a voice, not a child's, deep guttural, twisted with layers. You let her out. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My chest tightened like something invisible was pressing down hard. She was never alone. That was when I realized Elowen wasn't the only one buried behind that wall. I had released more than a spirit. I had opened a door, and now something was coming through. I tried leaving the house for good, packed what little I could into my car, turned the ignition and drove. But 20 minutes down the winding country road, the fog rolled in. Thick, unnatural. It swallowed the trees, the pavement, the stars. My headlights barely cut through it. The road twisted again. I should have reached the next town. But instead, I pulled up to my own driveway. The house was waiting. It knew. Something in the house didn't just haunt it, it controlled it. Bent time, space, kept me trapped like a fly under glass. I tried again the next morning. I made it farther. But the gas ran dry faster than it should have. My phone refused to connect. And when I stopped to ask for directions at a gas station I didn't recognize, the clerk stared at me with solid black eyes and said, "You were chosen." I don't remember driving back. I just woke up in my bed, sheets soaked in sweat, mud on my shoes. That night I heard footsteps pacing the upstairs hallway, slow, deliberate, measured. I live alone. I locked myself in the bedroom and pushed the dresser against the door. And then, just as the clock hit 3:00, a single knock, sharp and heavy, echoed from the other side. Then another. Then silence. I didn't sleep. In the morning, I found a message scrawled into the fogged-up mirror in the bathroom.